Welcome to another deep dive with us,
Yeah, always fun.
where we like to take these complex topics and unearth hidden gems of knowledge.
Yeah.
So today we are diving into the world of European theater.
Break a leg, as they say.
And we've got this really great resource called
yeah.
European Theater, a brief overview. It seems like it was originally put together to help students
Right.
learn about theater history.
Yeah, for sure.
But there's some really fascinating stuff in here, I think, for everyone.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
It's amazing how much you can learn about a society through its theater, like its values, its fears, its dreams.
right.
By following the evolution of theater,
Yeah.
you're kind of getting a glimpse into the evolution of human thought itself.
I love that.
Yeah,
So, okay, let's start at the very beginning. Ancient Greece,
right.
it's considered the birthplace of Western drama,
Makes sense.
and for good reason. I mean, they give us tragedy and comedy, the two genres that are still cornerstones of storytelling today.
Yeah, and think about how they experience those plays in open-air amphitheaters, like carved into hillsides.
Right.
These spaces weren't just for entertainment.
Right.
They were deeply intertwined with their religious festivals and civic life.
Wow.
Can you imagine thousands of people
Yeah.
gathering to witness these stories unfold under the open sky?
I mean, it's like the Super Bowl
It is.
of ancient Greece.
Yeah.
A massive communal experience.
Exactly. And speaking of impactful moments,
Yeah.
we can't forget about Thespis.
Right.
The first actor to step out from the chorus and engage in dialogue.
Oh, wow.
Essentially, he invented acting as we know it.
Oh, that's
Where we get the word thespian.
wow.
Pretty cool legacy.
Totally.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, like, what were those early Greek tragedies actually like? Were they super philosophical and hard to follow?
Well, they definitely tackled weighty themes. Fate, morality, the human condition.
Yeah.
But they were also incredibly dramatic and engaging.
Okay.
Take Sophocles, for instance.
Right.
He was a master of crafting these really intricate plots.
Yeah.
And exploring these complexities of fate,
Yeah.
while Euripides often pushed the boundaries,
Right.
questioning traditional moral values,
Interesting.
which was pretty radical for his time.
Yeah.
Imagine the debates these plays must have sparked.
I know. It's wild to think that some of the same things they were grappling with back then are still relevant today.
It's true.
Okay, so from the heights of Greek tragedy, we move on to ancient Rome.
Okay.
They were known for their love of spectacle, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
The Romans took inspiration from the Greeks, but they definitely dialed up the grandeur.
Okay.
Think massive sets, elaborate costumes, music, dance.
Wow.
A true feast for the senses.
So less dialogue, more visual impact.
Yeah.
Kind of like a Roman blockbuster film.
You could say that.
Yeah.
It was entertainment on a grand scale. And this wasn't just a reflection of their artistic tastes.
Right.
It was a reflection of their values as an empire.
Oh, okay.
Rome was all about power and dominance, and their theater reinforced that image.
I see.
Think of the Colosseum gladiatorial contests, chariot races,
Oh, yeah.
even mock naval battles.
Wow.
It was all designed to awe and inspire,
Yeah.
and perhaps even intimidate a little.
So Roman theater was like a combination of entertainment
Yeah,
and a display of imperial power.
precisely. It served a dual purpose,
Yeah.
which makes it even more fascinating to explore.
Uh-huh.
But it also reveals a key difference from the Greeks.
Okay.
The Romans developed the concept of the stock character,
Okay.
a precursor to the archetypes we see in theater and film today.
Interesting.
These were instantly recognizable characters,
Oh,
like
right.
the boastful soldier or the clever slave,
Yeah.
which allowed for humor and satire
Right.
to be woven into even the grandest spectacles.
That's so interesting how those seemingly small innovations
Right.
end up having such a lasting impact.
Totally.
Okay. Now, from the grandeur of Rome,
Yeah.
we enter a very different era, the medieval period.
Right.
What happened to theater when the Roman Empire fell
Hmm.
and Christianity rose to prominence?
Well, it's a fascinating shift.
Yeah.
While the Romans embraced spectacle,
Mm-hmm.
the medieval period saw a rise in a different kind of drama,
Okay.
one that emphasized morality and religious instruction.
Interesting.
The church became the driving force behind theatrical productions.
So less togas and chariots,
Uh-huh.
more saints and sinners.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We see the emergence of mystery plays depicting biblical stories,
Mm-hmm.
passion plays focusing on the life of Christ,
Okay.
and morality plays using allegorical characters to teach moral lessons.
Wow.
Imagine these plays being performed in town squares,
Yeah.
drawing entire communities together.
It was a completely different theatrical experience.
Yeah.
And it reached a much wider audience,
Right.
considering that most people couldn't read back then.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Theater became a powerful tool for religious instruction, reinforcing the church's teachings and shaping medieval society's worldview.
Right.
It was a far cry from the philosophical debates of the Greeks or the imperial spectacles of the Romans, but it played a crucial role in shaping this new era.
Yeah, and that's what's so amazing about studying theater.
Yeah.
It's like a window into the heart of a society.
Totally.
Okay, I'm ready to move on to the next chapter. The Renaissance.
All right.
What happens when we rediscover those classical ideals?
The Renaissance was a time of incredible change and upheaval, a true cultural rebirth. It makes you wonder how this shift from the religious focus of the medieval period impacted theater. Did those classical ideals we talked about earlier make a reappearance?
Right, because we were just discussing how during the medieval period, the church really had a tight grip on theater. It was all about morality plays and biblical stories. Did that all change during the Renaissance?
It's not so much that religious themes vanished entirely, but the focus shifted. Renaissance thinkers and artists looked back to the ancient Greeks and Romans, rediscovering their emphasis on humanism, individualism, and the power of reason.
So how did that translate to the stage? What did Renaissance theater actually look like?
Picture this. You step into a bustling indoor theater like the Globe in London, and you're surrounded by a lively audience from all walks of life. The stage is set for a play by William Shakespeare, intricate plots, psychologically rich characters, and explorations of ambition, love, betrayal, and the struggle for power. These were themes that resonated deeply with audiences living in this era of social and political transformation.
So instead of simply teaching moral lessons, Renaissance theater was holding up a mirror to society, exploring the complexities of human nature in all its messy glory.
Precisely. And it wasn't just Shakespeare. The Renaissance saw a flowering of new dramatic forms. From comedies that poked fun at the foibles of the wealthy, to tragedies that grappled with the weight of fate and ambition. And let's not forget the impact of the printing press. With the wider availability of printed text plays, could reach a broader audience, further fueling the spread of new ideas and challenging traditional ways of thinking.
It's like theater was at the forefront of this intellectual and cultural revolution, helping to shape the very way people thought about themselves and the world. But we can't talk about the Renaissance without talking about Shakespeare. What is it about his works that makes them so enduring, so universally relatable, even centuries later?
Shakespeare was a master of language, of capturing the nuances of human emotion and weaving stories that transcended time and place. His characters, from Hamlet to Lady Macbeth, still resonate with us because they grapple with universal human dilemmas, love, loss, ambition, revenge, and his plays explored these themes with a depth and complexity that continues to captivate audiences today.
It's no wonder he's considered the greatest playwright of all time. So from the rebirth of classical ideals during the Renaissance, we move on to the Enlightenment. Another period of profound change where reason and logic were championed. I'm guessing this had a major impact on theater as well.
Absolutely. The Enlightenment was all about challenging traditional authority, promoting individual liberty, and embracing the power of reason. And guess what? Playwrights were right there on the front lines using satire and wit to expose social injustices, hypocrisy, and the flaws of human nature.
So theater became a tool for social commentary, for pushing for reform and progress. It makes me think of some of the late-night comedy shows today that use humor to tackle political and social issues.
It's a great comparison. Think of playwrights like Molière in France and Sheridan in England. They were masters of satire, crafting hilarious plays that cleverly exposed the absurdity of social conventions and the abuses of power. But as on all fun and games, these playwrights were often taking huge risks, challenging the status quo and facing the wrath of those in authority.
They were rebels with a cause, using the stage as their weapon. Molière, for example, was known for pushing boundaries, and his play Tartuffe, which satirized religious hypocrisy, actually got him into trouble. He was banned for a while, but it only added to his popularity.
Exactly. His plays sparked important conversations, forcing audiences to confront uncomfortable truths about their society. It's a reminder that theater at its best has the power to challenge us, provoke us, and even inspire social change, but it also highlights how closely linked theater is to the prevailing social and political currents of its time.
It makes you wonder, what would those Enlightenment playwrights have to say about our world today? What injustices would they skewer? What hypocrisies would they expose?
That's a fascinating question, and it leads us perfectly into our next chapter, modern and contemporary theater, because as you might imagine, things get even more diverse and experimental as we enter the 20th century.
I'm ready to dive into this modern theatrical landscape. From what you've said, it sounds like a wild ride. All right, so we've journeyed from the open-air amphitheaters of ancient Greece to the satirical comedies of the Enlightenment, and now we're stepping into the world of modern and contemporary theater.
Mm-hmm.
What's so different about this period?
Well, imagine a world where theater explodes into this kaleidoscope of styles and voices and perspectives.
Okay.
That's really what happened in the 20th century.
Wow.
It was a time of immense social and political change.
Yeah.
And theater just became this mirror reflecting all those upheavals and all those new ideas.
Okay, so walk me through some of these big shifts. Where do we even begin?
Well, let's start with symbolism,
Okay.
which emerged in the late 19th century.
Yeah.
Instead of those realistic sets and that everyday dialogue, you're suddenly transported to this dreamlike world filled with metaphors and abstract imagery.
Wow.
Playwrights like August Strindberg and Maurice Maeterlinck,
Okay.
they were really diving deep into the human psyche, exploring themes of alienation, spirituality,
Wow.
and the power of the subconscious.
There was a reaction against the realism that was popular at the time.
Exactly. Realism sought to portray life as it was,
Right.
without embellishment or romanticization.
Mm-hmm.
Playwrights like Henrik Ibsen and Anton Chekhov,
Right.
they created these characters and these situations that felt so relatable to audiences.
Right.
And they really tackled social issues
Yeah.
like class conflict and gender roles head on.
I can see how both styles would have been groundbreaking in their own way.
Yeah.
Symbolism, exploring this inner world, and
Yeah.
realism focusing on that gritty reality of everyday life.
Right.
But you mentioned that modern theater was also about these diverse voices.
Yes.
How did that come into play?
Well, the 20th century just saw this surge in movements advocating for social justice and equality, and theater became a platform for all these voices.
Yeah?
Playwrights began to explore the experiences of marginalized communities, women, people of color,
Mm-hmm.
stories that had been largely excluded from mainstream theater.
So theater became a space for challenging those social norms,
Sure.
for pushing for representation, for
Mm.
giving voice to the voiceless.
Exactly. And then, of course, we have to talk about absurdism.
Okay.
This movement emerged in the aftermath of World War II,
Oh.
a time when so many people were really questioning the meaning of existence itself.
Right.
Playwrights like Samuel Beckett and Eugene Ionesco,
Right.
they turned traditional theater on its head.
Yeah.
They embraced the absurd, the illogical,
Wow.
the seemingly meaningless.
It sounds kind of bleak, but also strangely intriguing.
It is.
Can you give me an example of what an absurdist play might look like?
Okay, think of Beckett's Waiting for Godot.
Okay.
Two men are just waiting endlessly for someone who never arrives.
Oh, wow.
The dialogue is often circular and nonsensical. The
Huh.
setting is sparse and ambiguous.
Right.
It really reflects the absurdity of the human condition,
Yeah.
this feeling of being lost and adrift in a world that no longer makes sense.
It sounds both hilarious and terrifying at the same time.
Uh-huh.
So we've got symbolism, realism, absurdism, all these different styles and movements shaping modern theater.
Right?
And then on top of all that, we have the rise of technology and its impact on the stage.
Yeah, technology has completely transformed the theatrical landscape.
How so?
From innovative set designs and lighting to the use of multimedia elements, projections, even virtual reality.
Wow.
The possibilities are really endless.
Yeah.
It just allows for this more immersive and visually stunning theatrical experience.
So we've gone from the simplicity of those ancient Greek amphitheaters to
Yeah.
a world where theater is this fusion of art and technology and social commentary.
Yeah.
It's incredible to think about how far we've come.
It is. It's really a testament to the enduring power of theater. It
Yeah.
constantly adapts and finds new ways to engage with the world around it.
Right.
And that's what makes it so exciting. It's an
Mhm.
art form that's always pushing boundaries, asking these difficult questions, and just holding up a mirror to society.
It makes you wonder what the future holds for theater.
Right.
What new stories will be told? What innovations will we see? It feels like we're on the cusp of a whole new era.
I agree. As our world continues to change, so
Yeah.
too will the stories we tell and the ways in which we tell them.
Right, yeah.
But one thing is certain,
Yeah.
theater will continue to be this vital space for exploring the human condition, for challenging our perspectives, and for connecting us to something larger than ourselves.
Well said. Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive to the world of European theater.
Of course.
Hopefully you've gained new appreciation for this really dynamic art form and its enduring legacy.
I heard so.
And remember, theater is meant to be experienced.
Yeah.
So go out there and support your local theaters.
Yes.
See a play and be a part of this ongoing conversation.
Absolutely.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep